Welcome to the next video in the systems programming video series. In this video, we're going to move on to the third and final part of the week 3 assignment. So this is going to be completed in the word guess file. So we're over here now. Might as well close that out and get some space on the screen. This program chooses a random word from a list, and that list, actually, we probably do want to look at the files. That list of words is here in words.txt, and then asks the player to guess letters from that word. So when you boot up you compile and boot up the program, it says, welcome to word guess. You're going to get a turn. And it seems like behind the scenes on every boot up, it picks a random word and shows you only blanks for the letters, but you guess a letter and it will fill that blank in. So, you guess S and you get everywhere that an S occurs gets turned from a blank into the letter S. And by the time that you have filled in all the letters, then it says you won in 10 turns. Okay. Requirements. So to help you debug, print the random word at the beginning. You may want to make a small list of words, say with 6, to debug initializing the puzzle. Your program does not need to store the entire list of words. Instead, you can just read the first line to get the number of words. It's worth looking over at the word file and seeing that the very first line is the number of lines of the file. So, so we can simply read that number and then pick a random number from 0 up to it. Anyway, and use that to grab a random word. Then you only need to read the file up to the random row. All letters are lowercase and no words are longer than 32 characters. Use fgetS, and so we'll see that in a bit. If you allocate any dynamic memory, be sure to free it. There is the assignment. And here is my initial implementation of the solution. So you can see quick solution right at the start. But now I'll comment it all out. So the first thing to do is to get the file and pick a random word from the file. So we have standard IO, and therefore we are already set to get a pointer to the file. And so that is going to come from fopen the name of the file. Since all of these, right, the executable is going to be located in the same directory as the words.txt file, then I don't need to do anything fancy with the file path. I can just say words.txt, oops, and that is going to be read only as I traverse through the file, no writing to this file. The next thing that I want to do is I want to get that first number so that I know how many lines the file is. Now, there might be better ways, right? If we were really going to do this in a professional setting, we might want to do this in a more direct manner. But here, let's just stick to using fgetS and see, just as a matter of using that only, I guess, in some sense to kind of keep things minimal, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to only use that function. And therefore, what that's going to, do basically is I need to put the value into a string, right? This is like from the file, get a string. So, oh, right, before I do this, though, I do need to check to see whether or not that open was successful. So I should say if not fptr, then printf file open error, and then exit with code 1. But anyway, so now I'm going to try to read that first number, but because we're using fgetS and that gets a string, then I need to, right, because we're doing it this way, I need to get the string and then turn the string into an int. So to get the string, I'm going to go ahead and say char star word. Now I'm actually going to reuse this, right? I mean, just to begin with, I'm going to use this variable to get that number, but then later on, I'm just going to reuse the same variable, just out of like, not using too much memory. I'm only going to use this one variable, but I'm going to do it to both get the number and then later on to get the words as I traverse through the file. So I want to just get the first line out of the file, and to do that, oh, right, and I need to malloc before I do anything else. So I'm going to malloc size of char, and we were guaranteed that the most number of characters is 32, so let's malloc 33. And then let's say word equals fgetS. Now here, I think we need to put a char or a string. So yeah, so I'm going, oh, right. So we don't do it this way. Instead, we put word here, right? So the data is copied over to it. fgetS has this integer argument, which is for limiting the number of characters that it will even try to read. So let's read at most 32 characters. And we're going to use the file pointer fptr. That's what goes there. So now Word should have the first line of the file in it. Let's just, before going too far, it's always nice to write a little test, So let's actually not go all the way to the end before testing what we've done so far. So let's say printf %s word. And let's go ahead and build and run. So let's say make word guess, and it worked, and then run word guess, and it printed exactly the number, which is the first line of the file. Now, the thing is, we may want to notice that I did not explicitly tell it to line break, and yet it line broke anyway. So presumably that line break is actually coming from the line break in the line itself in the text file, right? This line break that sends you from here to there is probably actually responsible for the line break taking us from here to there. So that is a caution that we are actually getting a line break, like in a sense, basically, if you looked at Word in its, sort of like, if you looked at all of the individual chars, then you would actually see a /n because it has the, the char for a line break in the string. So that's worth noting. Now, I'm not sure, because we're about to cast this to an integer so that I can use it as an integer. So I'm not sure that that's going to end up being important, but it's worth noting just to be on the safe side. So now we want to take this string and turn it into an integer in the context of our problem. Let's say int line num equals. Now, how do I take a string and turn it into an integer? There is this function a to I, which we put in here, I think, not what I meant to do. So right, so we give it a the string, so that is going to be, what did I call it? Word, I think, right? Yeah. And then we would like to take that, it's going to return the integer value. So yeah, in fact, I could just say that right there. It should be able to do that. And so let's test this now. Let's actually get rid of this line, but now printf %d, I think line num, and we're ready to go. So let's save that, recompile, rerun, and it prints it. And notice that this time it prints it without the line break. So that means, yeah, that like the line break was in the string, but it didn't end up mattering because when I converted it to a digit or a decimal, the a to I function knew to ignore the decimal. But what that does, right? So although here it didn't matter, I am still emphasizing the point because it can matter in certain circumstances. So, okay, so that's just a good thing to know. Okay, but so we now have the line number for the file. We would like to choose a random line number. So let's say that int rline equals rand. mod line num. So we should now have a random line number. Now I want to get the string at that line. Let's say that oh, right, and I wanted to put it into Word. So in order to get there, basically what we have to do is we have to increment through the file. I think there is a way to like skip around, but for now, let's just do this. I think in some way this is its own worthwhile lesson that you could in principle do this right here. So you can say for int I less than R line, right? So go up to the random line and then I++, and then call get, what was it? Get fgetS. We give it the word, we give it the maximum number of characters to look at, and we give it f pointer. And it will 30, or actually not 32, but whatever this random number is, it will do that many times, substituting into the variable word the line, the next line from the file. So that's what that's doing. Okay. So it should end that for loop having populated word with the word at that line number. And so now we have our random word. Now that we have a random word, we would like to start the game. So we're going to print this message to the user. So printf this message, line break. And then we're going to have some variable tracking the turn number, and it seems initialized to 1. So let's say int turn equals 1. We're going to have this thing to print out. And so at least it makes sense to me to basically make another string containing these blanks, basically. And there are just as many blanks as there are words, or sorry, characters in Word. Let's go ahead and make that. So let's say that there's going to be a char star show, which I'm going to malloc size of char times the length of the word, right? Because like the length of the word plus 1 for the null terminator or whatever. So null character. So I want to say stir. Oh, and let's because I probably am going to use the length of this string repeatedly. So yeah, maybe right here. Let's say int n equals strlen of word. And so here I want to multiply by n plus 1, right? For all the characters of the word plus the null character at the end. Okay, so then what I want to do is I want to populate this show variable with all underscores. So we're going to say that for int I equals 0, I less than n, I plus plus, show at index I is set to the underscore. So I have the true word, I have what we're showing to the player. Finally, I think I'm going to need a character because I'm going to prompt the player to give me a character. And so, yeah, let's make a char guess, and we're going to get that from the user soon. We have a variable keeping track of the turn, so that sounds good. How do we know when the game has come to an end? Well, I would say that basically we want to use the fact that the length of the word is n, and every time a letter gets revealed, basically, we want to like have a variable tracking that like that value is decrementing. And then when the value gets down to 0, we know that there are 0 spaces left to guess, and that's going to be our signal that the game is over. So let's maybe give an int left, and it is initialized to n. So, so now I think we want to get into a while loop, and I guess we'll say while not left, right? So, or no, while left. right? So as soon as left becomes 0, which is exactly the signal we want to exit the while loop, when left is 0, we want to, or we know that there's nothing left to guess. And so that's why we break the while loop on that condition. So long as left is non-zero, there's more to do, and so we do it. Okay, so while left, what we're going to do is print this message. So we're going to print f turn %d. That's going to come from turn. And then we can already increment turn, I think. Then we want to print what is currently in show. So let's go ahead and do a for loop over n. So int I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. And let's, now I want to, like these are characters when I get them from show, or do I want to just, look in their printout, it looks like there are spaces. Yeah, that's probably better. So I want to print it with the spaces in between. So let's just print it one character at a time. In order to print it one character at a time, oh, by the way, I might want to just make a lot of space in all of this. So, so to print one character at a time, then I want to put C, the value of show at I. And, or no, actually, you know what I would rather do is print f, and then the format string that I want to print is %c for the char in that I'm going to give it, and then space underscore, or no, and then space, right? And then this is going to be show at I. Okay. So there I print it one character at a time with spaces separating them, and then what do I want to do next? Next I want to prompt the user for a guess, so printf guess a character, and then get that guess from the user, so then I want to get can I just call get C and then give it the pointer to the guess? And then, okay, so guess should now be filled with the guess that the player has made. And what we want to do is run through the actual words, seeing if there's a match, and wherever there's a match, we would like to fill that position in show. And also not forget to decrement left. For int I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, if word bracket I matches the guess and the thing currently located at guess, or sorry, at show is a blank. So if both of those conditions are met, then I would like to fill and decrement left. So let's say that show at I now obtains the value of guess, and left is decremented. Is there anything I'm missing? So yeah, we've updated the show array, we've updated left, turn was updated long ago. I think we're ready to move on, right? And we can let the loop increment, and this, I think, all seems fine. So, is there anything I'm missing? Of course, by the end, we need to free anything that we malloced. Oh, I guess winning condition, right? Yeah, once the while is done, then we can say printf, and I just want to print the word and then say you win in however many turns, right? So you won in %d turns. And then that %d is going to come from turn. Okay. With all of that done, oh, and I guess this is supposed to take place outside of the while loop because that blue curly brace was inaugurated by the for loops. Oops, it's not at all what I intended. Cut, paste, and then free up allocated memory. So what do I need to free? Probably word, free show. Is there anything else that I malloced? So malloc here, that's on word, malloc on show, and that's it. Okay. All right, that seems good. And then down at the very end is my return 0. So I wonder if I'm good to go. Let's test it out. Now I'll just go ahead and say in advance, I know that there's a bug. I encountered this bug the first time. Ooh, and I need to save my program. But I encountered a bug and I went ahead and programmed it into here, pretending as if I didn't notice the bug, but there is a bug in this program. And so we're going to see it not work. But the point of reproducing the bug, because it was a bit of a tricky bug that I needed, basically, when I was doing this, I needed to use GDB to investigate where the bug was. And I figured by putting that in this video, that's kind of a nice demo of using GDB to debug. So that's why I did this by silently putting a bug into the program, and then we're going to use GDB to find the bug. Okay, so I think it's ready to go, assuming I didn't make more bugs than I thought I did. So let's say make, and what is this, word guess? It doesn't like some, I forgot to free the file as well. Now that's not what that error is, but I'm glad I saw that. So we should free fptr, and then fptr is null. But what is this argument is of type char? Right, so I guess actually, let's just use scanf. So let's say that scanf of quote. Now, when you're getting a char from scanf, it is sometimes good to put a space there and then %c. Basically, what that space does, I don't know all the details about exactly how it does it, but when there are line breaks or white space or whatever kind of floating around, and we know that here there are line breaks in the file, and that is coming from the read file. So, but like this line break, it could have come from like the user previously having entered something or whatever. But the point is, when you're using scanf specifically to get a char, that can sometimes cause funny issues. And so if you put a space and then %c, that can like flush out white space that gets into the system through various ways. But that, I think, is just basically a safe way to use scanf when getting a char. And then so that's my format string, and then I would like to put that char into the address of guess. So let's see if that works. So it makes, and let's do this. Oh, and I probably, guess a character. I'd like to have more white space the next time I compile. And also, actually, maybe there's just space there, but maybe I want a line break at the start, actually. So anyway, okay. But I can still go ahead and enter a character. So let's say A. It fills in 2 places, takes me to the next turn, so that looks good. What if I just go right down the list? B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Calendaring, whatever that means. But notice that there is a further white space, a blank there, which is very strange because, if we come over to the words.txt and we go down to calendaring, there is just calendaring with nothing after it. Now, based on an earlier conversation about other parts of this program, you might actually have a guess about what is going on here, but I only figured this out by using GDB. So what is that further space? Like, how is it getting there? And so let's go ahead and Control-C, exit the program. And now let's build a debugging file. So let's say GCC with the -g flag, and we're doing this on wordguess.c. So I compile. It compiles to a.out up here, and then I want to run GDB on a.out. I think that's all I want. Continue. I would like to set some kind of a breakpoint so that I learn about the nature of this word. So maybe the first time when word gets populated is the right way. Okay, so like, yeah, I guess around here. So maybe what do we want to do? Set a break like at line 23, because that's right after word has been populated. Or, in fact, if we want to know anything about the length, then maybe I would like to go ahead and let it compute the length and set my break at 25. So let's break at 25 and see what's going on at that moment. So we break at 25. Let's run. You can see that it broke exactly at the place where I wanted it to, so good news. And then I would like to display, I suppose, the word. And there it is, right? So this right here demonstrates that calendaring is followed by the line break character. So that is that odd extra blank that seems like it shouldn't be there when we play the game. That is in fact the line break that it is taking at the, from the file, because that line break is right here taking us from this line to the next line. So it has an extra character, and I would like to basically delete that final character because it's always going to be the line break. So there it is. That shows you how to use GDB to debug this, right? To identify what the bug is. We can quit GDB. Yes, I would like to quit. Let's now come to the program. And how do we deal with, like, how do we basically delete that final character? Well, I think the absolute easiest way must be, actually, I guess I could even do it here and use n to say that in Word at index n minus 1, that is essentially the final index of a, how do I want to put this? So if you tried to access index n, that index exists, but that's where the null character is. And right before that is where the line break character is. So that is the thing that I want to eliminate in some sense. And so the easiest way to eliminate it is, in fact, to assign it to the null character. So what's going to happen here is that we grab the word. In fact, actually, now having realized all this, it now makes me notice that, well, it said that no word, yeah, although no word is more than 32 characters, each line in the file, it looks like maybe can have 33 characters. So actually, I might want to change all of this by incrementing every one of these up by 1 so that it can, in fact, accommodate the line break character, just to be on the safe side. But in any case, okay, so now having done that, did I hard code 32 anywhere else? Looks like no. But so the point is that this thing is now, like, again, let's go back to the example where the word is calendaring. And so what that is actually going to store in the array word, right, the char array, is it's going to have the word calendaring, right? First character C, second character A, so on and so on out to the G. The next character, I am making the null character. Now, after that is another null character. The thing is, that just doesn't matter, right? Because basically all of these string library functions terminate as soon as they see a null character. So if I just set the null, right, if I set a null character earlier in the string, then that is effectively ending the string right there. So this is a nice, fast, efficient way to cut the string early, basically, right? The string will be regarded as if it ends at this index. So that's nice. Now, because I am shortening the string by one character, I also want to make sure that I decrement n. And so now with those edits in place, I think the program should work correctly this time. So let's just say make word guess. Let's run word guess. Let's say cat, right? And by the way, because I did not put like a random seed, like using time or something like that, to sort of randomize the random function, then this random function is going to behave deterministically, and I can already know that when it reboots the game, it's going to pick exactly the same random word this time around. So I can just go ahead and say that the random word is going to be calendering. And there we go, right? So once the characters got filled all the way, it says you won in this many turns. And so this is a success. The problem has been implemented, so great.